When your whole family's generation is murder and theft, then all you're going to do is just that. That's going to be your life. Today, we're going to go over Asghar, the murderer.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at TexasMobileNotaryMindy.com. That's TX, MobileNotaryMindy.com. Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to go over Asghar, the murderer. He's a Iranian serial killer, and from what the data shows, that he was the first Iranian serial killer reported in the 20th century. So let us begin. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be Stephanie Hawking's voice on this, because it's a lot of Farsi, uh, Aramaic, if you want. But let us begin. Agar Borajordi was born 1893 in Burjard. He had two brothers, Reza and Taji, and one sister, which they don't give a name for. Asghar, Asghar, is it Asghar? Asghar grew up in a family which his history varies in criminal activities, including theft, murder, and defamation. His grandfather, Zolif, was a bandit who robbed caravans in the city of Bajor. Let me make sure that is right. Borajard, Malin and Arka, sometimes murdering the caravan owners. Asghar's father, Mirzi, was also a known bandit who killed more than 40 civilians with his bare hands. His notoriety made him an immigrant to Baghdad with his wife and children. On the way to Marsahad, Marzi was killed by Persian Kazakh brigade in Iran. His family and children continued in Baghdad. Asghar, who had heard from his mother that his father had been a soldier who was killed during his military conception. The family soon traveled to Iraq under the pretext of making the Stephanie Hawking, help me out with this one. Karbala pilgrimage. And so essentially decided to remain in Baghdad. Asgard ended up in a young age selling snacks to other children and adolescents and made his friends with them. He would promise them to give them treats, but instead would assault and sexually molest them. It was during this time when Asghar was. Let me. I'm really horrible at names.
Asghar.
Yeah, Asghar was age 14, and this was his first arrest and prosecution for the abuse of other children in Baghdad, and was imprisoned. Unfortunately, due to his young age, he was not considered a serious risk and was released with the consent of his victim's family. He then returned selling nuts and snacks. Soon, Asghar was again arrested and sentenced to 9 years for a prison term. After it was discovered that he abused 5 children in Baghdad. At the age of 27, he was released in order to stay away from activities that could possibly land him in contact with again, with police or the court. It was during this period that he killed 25 children and adolescents in Iraq and eventually confessed to the last murder. He quickly fled to Iran, where he settled permanently. Asghar said the following about his crimes in Iraq. In Iraq, in my brother's cafe, I spent all the money. I was selling nuts for some time in the mosque and was in contact with children until I was imprisoned for 9 years for abusing 5 of them. After my release, I was still around children until I decided a carpenter study named Hazan one night, raping him with 5 other. Because of this, I retained 2 years and supervised by the police. Every night, the police would come to my home and control my actions at home. So I decided to kill. I decided to kill any boy I raped. I killed 25 in Baghdad, often drowning them. Some resisted, and since I was not going to leave any trace behind, the last kid I shot. Another child saw me, and then I ran to Iran. Wow. Okay. When Asghar returned to Iran, he did not return to his hometown of Bajard. Instead, he settled in Stephanie Hawking's
Tehran.
Tehran. Uh, let Stephanie Hawking do this again.
Riza Khan Caravanserai.
Khan Kanzavare, where he was particularly busy with athletics. In this way, he would frequently contact with children and adolescents. His main targets were male teens who had come to look for work. During this brief time, he killed 8 people and dumped their bodies in the southern part of the city. Discovery of the mutilated bodies of these adolescents in the furnaces and aqueducts near Mu and Stephanie Hawking
Minudasht.
Menudash village became a source of fear in Tehran. In January 1933, a teenager who was lost in Stephanie, help me out with this one.
Kalakarabakh.
Kalakarabakh village, south of Tehran, found the bodies of a boy. He was rushed to tell the news of a nearby Stephanie.
Najafabad.
He rushed to tell the news in nearby Navashaban. Agents from the Office of Provincial Affairs discovered that in addition to the teen's body, there was 2 others, both who were under 20 years old and had been killed in the past couple of weeks. On February 23rd, in the space of less than 2 months, another young man's skull was found in Lahine Park.
Lala Park.
Lao Park, but his body was not found. 5 days later, a 31-year-old man's headless body was discovered in
Aminabad district of Dowlatabad.
Ahmedabad district of Dalalabad. By creating a calm fear of Tehran, the police were jurisdictionary. English word I can't even freaking do either.
Judiciary.
Judiciary worked hard to find any clues which would help find the killer. And
Sardar Timur Khan.
Sardar Timur Khan, an inspector of Tehran, who was probably the most knowledgeable officer in the area, was put in charge of serial killing investigations of Tehran. The police drained several wells in an attempt to either find more bodies or prevent their use of the possible dumping as the officers continued their effort to solve the killing of Karat.
Carrot.
On Thursday, March 10th, 1933, close to Ahmed's Quadas,
Aminabad's Kanats.
Amenemets cannons. The police came to a middle-aged man in the desert selling snacks of porridge. The officer spoke to him, asking about his background and employment. The man claimed that he was selling okra. They did not doubt him at first, but upon close inspection, noticed bloody clothes and a bloody knife. The man claimed that he bought the clothes from a market nearby
Shah Abdal-Azim.
Shalal shrine, and the rest of the items were his tools. The authorities were not convinced, and the man was arrested and took into Commander Tehran. The officer then visited Asghar residence in
Riza Khan Caravanserai.
Caravanserai and questions his neighbors. They said that the previous night's
Asghar.
sorry, had introduced the murderer boys as being his brothers, and the police identified the clones, warned them of the belongings to the same teenagers. After series and interrogations, Al-Ashar admitted the clothes were from the adolescents and also named Ali, whom Asghar employed to work alongside him. But after the boy ran away, Asghar found him and proceeded to rape and murder him. Eventually, Asghar confessed to raping and murdering a total of 8 children in Iran and 25 in Iraq. No doubt, Asghar, the murderer, the trial began in June 1934. Asghar was charged with the rape and murder of a dozen children and adolescents. At the verdict, the court sentenced him to 9 years of imprisonment, and subsequently to that, he was to be executed. The verdict was upheld in the Supreme Court in Iran. Giving a chance to speak, Asghar explained his reason behind his crimes. These people were without parents. They were useless and beautiful. When their facial health started to grow, they became thieves. I have admitted an enemy,
Enmity.
to them. These are the enemies of society. Because of that, I had to kill them. I was so excited when outside of my country, as I had killed a lot of them. That's why I came here, seeing they were here, and killed them. On the Wednesday, July 6th, 1934, in the early morning, Asghar was executed in
Tubkanet.
Tukhamnet in front of the country's national justice system. At first, he appeared humorous, but when he saw the rope, he realized the inevitable and grew fearful. He said that if he was to be released, he would give the persons to sheep. He would give the persons to sheep. I killed some tramps, and I killed them because of you, he said after protest. And the story of Babel by Reza
Ghassemi.
Kazemi. Asghar, the murderer, said, "My purpose in life was to see my head over and above others. Well, now I dream of a cord climbing up." The prison director instructed that he is hanged by his feet upside down and tied a rope around a large stone with the noose around his neck and leave him hanging by dangling stones. Mm. Well, yes, I know this was a quick one, and uh, I just wanted to get one done for the. It's not really done for this week. Here's another one that I found. That, yeah, I'll do a quick one. I'll do a twofer on this one because it's really short. Yes, the Asghar, the murderer, was well, he was a horrible human being. But we're gonna go off subject of the human aspects, I'm going to go with Mighty Mary or Murder Mary. This is this was a weird one when I found it. Uh, and it was murder. Okay, it's Murderous Mary. She was a 5-ton Asian elephant. Uh, let's go over it real quick. On September 11th, 1916, a homeless man named Red Edridge, who landed a job at a transient hotel clerk, was hired as a elephant keeper by the Sparks world famous show Circus. He was killed by Mary in Sullivan County, Tennessee, on a following evening. Although unqualified, Edgar led the elephant parade, riding on top of Mary's back. Mary was the star of the show, walking at the front. There have been several accounts of his death. One recounted by W.H. Coleman, who claimed to be the witness, is that he prodded her behind the ear with a hook after she reached down to nibble a watermelon rid. She then went into a rage, snatching Elridge with her trunk, threw him against a drinking stand, and stepping on his head and crushing it. A contemporary newspaper account from Johnson City staff said Mary collided its trunk vice-like with Edgar's body, lifting him 10 feet in the air, then dashing him with the fury to the ground. With the full force of her beastly fury, it is said to have shaken her giant tusk entirely through his body. The animal then trampled the dying form of Edridge, as if seeing a murderous triumphant. Then, with a sudden swaying of her massive foot, hurling his body into the crowd. Well, the people of Sullivan County, Tennessee, did not like this, so they decided, because no matter what, murder's murder, they decided to hang her. There's actually a photo of this, if you can find it, on Murderous Mary's execution. They had a crane and they tied it around her neck and hung her. Uh, but the details of the aftermath is confusing and a maze of sensationally newspaper stories and folklore. For example, the Aftermath newspaper described Mary as impaling Enders with her tusk, despite female elephants lacking tusk. Most accounts in, indicted that she calmed down afterwards and did not charge the onlookers, who began chanting, "Kill the elephant, let's kill it." Within minutes, local blacksmith Hendrich Cox tried to kill Mary, firing 5 rounds with little effort. Meanwhile, the leader of several nearby towns threatened not to allow the circus to visit if Mary was included. The circus owner, Charles Sparks, reluctantly decided that the only way to quickly resolve this potential ravenous situation was to kill the wounded elephant in public. On the following day, foggy and raining September 13th, 1916, Mary was transported by rail to Yukon County, Tennessee, where a crowd of 2,500, including most town's children, assembled to the Chetfield Railroad Yard. The elephant was hung by the neck from a rail car mounted industrial derrick between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock that afternoon. The first attempt resulted in the snapping of the chains, causing Mary to fall and breaking her hip as dozens of children fled in terror. The severely wounded elephant died during the second attempt and was buried beside the tracks. The veterinarian examined Mary after the hanging and determined that she had several infected teeth in precision spots where Red Edge had prodded her, and the authorities of the widely distributed and heavily retouched photo of her death was disputed years later by
Argosy.
Argosy magazine. So that was kind of a sad story on that one, and it just goes to show that back then they just had different views and everything. Nowadays, I would blame the actual person that prodded her. I mean, animals have feelings too. and not get, on a lot of stuff. But, anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this small tidbit of Psychos and Sociopaths. And goodbye.